CNN political commentator Michael Smerconish is here. Michael, great to see you as always. The question of who is deserving of federal benefits is central to where the shutdown debate stands right now. The facts and nuance are one thing. Who do you think broadly is winning this messaging war, and who potentially caves first?
I hope they're both losing, because they both deserve to lose, in my opinion. I don't think there's any side of nobility in any of this. By the way, my heart is on the side of the Democrats because I believe that those subsidies ought to be maintained. My head, however, says this is not the way to do it. It's not, within time and place. Go win the election. The midterm is coming up. And I think the Democrats in this fight are going to be handicapped by the fact that people have not yet received their open enrollment statements. I guess that comes on or about November 1st. And Boris, if right now people had received statements in the mail saying your rate's going up 20% in 2026, it would be a whole different political calculus.
That is an interesting point. We were just hearing from Senator Roger Marshall, and in speaking to Brianna, he was suggesting that for Democrats, this was all political, and we've heard the argument before that this is because Chuck Schumer is afraid of getting primaried. I wonder, after the criticism that he specifically received for extending funding back in March, does this come down for Democrats to showing their base that they're willing to put up a fight?
Yes, it does. And look, you got to get into the weeds to really unravel what this is all about. And I think that the risk that the Republicans face is one of the public certainly know that a Republican is in the White House and Republicans control the House and the Senate. And therefore, I think there's going to be this temptation to say, well, they can't work it out. It's their fault. They're in charge, not taking into consideration that this is a 60-vote issue, and consequently Republicans alone can't get it done. The side that's demanding something normally suffers. That would be the Democrats in this case. But I think the president runs the risk of overplaying his hand. If Russell Vought starts to fire people, and I'll mention something else that I think is an embarrassment. In the Bush 41 administration, I served in the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And I was responsible for a region of 5 states plus Washington, D.C., and all federal housing therein. 2,000 employees, only 2 of us were political appointees, myself and one other person. So today, Boris, after reading the stories, I went onto that HUD website, which I'm familiar with, and to see the radical left has shut down HUD is such an embarrassment, because I think of the 2,000 employees for whom I was responsible. They're just people showing up and doing a job. They're not caught up in any of this partisan crossfire. And for their public housing work to be subject to, the radical left or the right or whatever, it's just so demeaning. It's so demeaning.
To the question of cheapening what is a fraught political argument, not only about benefits, but also the value of those who decide to serve the American people by working in the federal government. What did you make of the memes coming out of the White House, putting Democrats in sombreros and J.D. Vance saying that this is all in good fun and they can poke fun at their rivals while also negotiating a deal? Do you think that's appropriate?
I didn't even think that it was funny. Like the Grim Reaper video I watched this morning, and I'm prepared to have a laugh in the midst of all of this. I just didn't think the thing was funny at all. There's nothing funny about 700,000 people being marginalized. And that's what's going on here. And I'm sorry if I prioritize, but I think about the troops and what are we, 10 days, 2 weeks out from, whether the paycheck is going to be there. Look out if some of those TSA folks, as they've done in the past, just start calling in sick. That'll bring this to a close in a hurry. One final thought, if I may. Who will next want to go work for the federal government? They already struggle to bring in competent folks, and to say to yourself, well, I could go into the private sector maybe and have a job, or I could be subject to this. It's going to further make it difficult.
Yeah, and in the private sector, you make more money. The idea is that if you work for the federal government, you have more stability. Doesn't seem like there's much stability right now. Michael Smerconish, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.